Welcome to an all-new weekend edition of Second City Sports Zoom Style.
Zoom style.
Along with Lakina McGee and Lamont Scott, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on Twitter and the Insta at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. You can get this podcast along with our other programming from War Media. Just search for War on Anchor. We'll kick you over to Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. Wherever you download your podcast, please download search for War on Anchor and search for Second City Sports. And we're also on iHeartRadio. Please download the iHeartRadio app. When you do, please type in the search engine box War on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. And we're also on YouTube at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. You can see our lovely faces. Like right now, if you're watching us on YouTube.
And you can follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the Instagram.
And you can follow me at Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
All right, folks, let's kick off this weekend edition of Second City Sports Zoom Style with the Bears win. The Bears played on Thursday night. They were the only game in town on Thursday Night Football on Fox as they defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady and company, 2019 at Soldier Field. The Bears got out to another slow start, but started to come along toward the end of the first half. The second half saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers collapse. The Bears' offense sort of started to pick up. The defense held its own in the second half, which led to the game-winning field goal by Cairo Santos for the 2019 victory, which I just mentioned. Let's break down this game, crew. Lamont, I'll start with you. Let's start with the first half. I swear to you on my life that I thought that I was watching last week's game against the Indianapolis Colts. But as I mentioned in my short open, the Bears finally put a touchdown on the board with that great one-handed catch by Jimmy Graham. But the first quarter didn't look so hot.
Yeah, Sid. One, you got to give Tampa Bay defense credit. They ain't no slouches, so they're pretty good to begin. And two, it started off like that. It was like the play calling was real conservative, so to speak. They didn't really know, did they want to go deep? Did they want to take shots? Did they want to be conservative? It's like they was playing not to mess up. And when they play like that, they tend to mess up, and it'd be a real slow game. It'd be a slow situation, and they don't do a lot. So I think that's why it started out that way. And as you said a second ago, we had spoke about it too on Monday. The defense had to show up, and they did. I'm so happy that they did. A shout out to that rookie. He was playing. They was picking on him all night, but he held his own out there. So Khalil Mack, I heard his name so much, I was excited. That was the most I heard his name all year. So I was excited with that. So, I was happy with it. That first half, like you say, was shaky, but the second half was beautiful.
They haven't played a complete game yet. And look, it was good to hear Khalil Mack's name a lot yesterday, the way he body slammed that 1-0 line. But if you look at Tampa, they only had one healthy starting offensive player. Mike Evans, you can tell at the end of the game he could barely walk, and Larry Fournette was only going to be used as an emergency back. So yeah, of course you don't want to take away Nick Foles. I mean, he was able to check off some of the rest from earlier, but at the same time, though, once again, you get lucked out. I'm sorry. Look, everybody. Look, I've heard it all morning on Chicago Sports Radio say, "Hey, we're 4-0. Don't complain." Look, there's a reason why a lot of people in the nationally don't take you seriously. There's a reason why. It's the inconsistencies of everybody in the games, especially for the first 5 weeks of the season. Look, we'll talk more about it on Monday, but that Carolina team, it's not necessarily an easy win now. So I think for me, look, okay, fine, you're 4-1, but again, you're a deceptive 4-1.
I want to focus in on Nick Foles. Of course, he didn't have the greatest game, but he did what he had to do to win the game for the Bears offensively. Go back to what you just said, Lamont. Their play calling was questionable again, especially during that first quarter. And during that first quarter, when Tampa Bay got that first touchdown on the board, I believe it was by Mike Evans, but it was off the Nick Foles turnover. And Allen Robinson, who tipped the ball, I know he was trying to go for a jump ball catch there, but in that situation, you had to knock the ball down. Now, that same situation came up again in that fourth quarter when rookie wide receiver Darnell Mooney, the D-ball was thrown up towards him. It was uncatchable, but he came back to the area of the ball and knocked it down on from the defender. Shout out to Davis, the defensive back for Tampa Bay, who snatched the ball out of Robinson's hands. That was the second time that's happened to Robinson this year. Of course, if you remember a couple weeks ago against the Giants, Branberry, the defensive back, took the ball out of Robinson's hands. That's twice now. So Robinson has to know. I know he's trying to. He's getting paid to catch balls, which he's done a great job this year. But in situations like that, when you know you can't, you're not in a position to catch the ball cleanly, you have to knock it down away from the defender.
Yeah. And speaking of them wide receivers, that Darnell Mooney played a wonderful game. I mean, he's been showing me some stuff. He's actually passing Anthony Miller up, but Anthony Miller shows up to make the big catches. So if that's how it's going to work, I can live with it like that. Mooney can catch all the balls, and Anthony Miller catch the important ones, and as long as he continue to catch the important ones. And them Tampa Bay defensive backs was playing football last night. That Dean character, he showed up a lot. So they was playing ball back there last night. They wasn't no pushovers at all back there. So, I mean, we're thankful to get out of that with a win. I was upset with a lot of the officiating. I think they was calling a lot of things that was truly unnecessary. And even with that Jimmy Graham touchdown, if he wouldn't have caught the ball, that should have been a pass interference. The man was hanging on his left arm. That's why he had to catch it with one arm. So it was like, y'all not calling the same calls both ways. So I was getting a little frustrated with some of that officiating, but it all worked out in the end. But it could have went bad real quick.
Yeah. I think I'm glad you said that, Lamont, because I'm hearing it from people like, oh, just be happy for the win and blah, blah, blah. No, look, like I said before, I mean, the other Bears had their chances too. I mean, I think Miller dropped a for sure TD pass. I mean, he got the ball worked away from Dean, or they went Robinson. I forgot. But I mean, look, Nick Foles didn't make too many mistakes, and I guess that's fine. It's a pretty good Tampa defense. But again, like I've been saying, I mean, you look on the other side of it. I mean, why did they run the ball? I mean, Ronald Jones, he had 108 rushing yards. Like, why didn't they keep giving the ball to him? I mean, apparently Tom Brady forgot it was, how many downs there were. I guess his old age is starting to catch up to him. I mean, come on, you're okay. No one told you the count. So look, there's a lot of luck that went on here. And like you said, Lamont, I mean, on both sides, I mean, there was a lot of inconsistencies. I mean, there's no way Shaq Barrett committed a roughing the passer penalty on Foles. That should not have been roughing the passer. That I don't know where is the consistency. It's been like that all season, unfortunately, for some of these games. But I mean, okay, yeah, fine, yeah, okay, you won. But again, it's your play, and people are seeing why a lot of the national pundits are not taking you guys seriously.
No, ain't nobody. How you take them serious? I mean, if the playoffs started tomorrow, how far you think we would go? I mean, we're not going very far. And you mentioned Brady in the four-finger situation. I think he simply forgot what down it was. People make mistakes. He forgot. He simply forgot. And that happens. But what do you think them making a slight big deal about him not shaking Nick Foles' hand again? You think that was is that something personal, or is that something that, he's doing now for everybody? And even if he uses it as I ain't touching because of the COVID situation, that means he got to go the rest of the year. And, last week he did shake Justin Herbert. I mean, when they beat the Chargers, he tapped Justin Herbert on the helmet. So is it a Nick Foles thing? So maybe Brady was just so frustrated. I know they got a shot at him breaking his micro pad thing. He broke his surface on the sideline. So maybe he was just so frustrated that he didn't want to take Nick Foles' hand after the game. And maybe he should have beat the Bears. I think that's his first time ever losing to the Bears. I think he's 5-0 or something against the Bears. So, I mean, he probably was a little upset.
Along with Lakina McGee and Lamont Scott, I am Sidney Brown. You're listening to Second City Sports weekend edition as we review Thursday night's game between the Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, the Monsters of the Midway escaping with a 2019 victory to improve their record to 4-1 on the season. Lakina, I'll start with you. Let's go back to that Bears offense in the running game. Of course, on the stat sheet, it didn't look pretty. David Montgomery only 10 carries for 29 yards, but it was very nice to see him get his first rushing touchdown of the season. The whole entire Bears team, that was their first rushing touchdown of the year.
Yeah, I mean, why isn't he getting the ball more? Look, we've been saying this all year so far. I mean, especially in that last drive that led them to ultimately, ending up, winning the game-winning field goal. But again, you were trying to throw when you could have gotten a touchdown. You could have given him the ball. He was rushing just fine. So I'm like, wait, what are you doing? So, I mean, if the Bears want to get taken seriously, if they want to go far, they're going to have to feed him the ball. And Montgomery has showed that he's sort of that big bruising, running back that, the Bears have coveted. So I don't know why he doesn't get the ball more.
Because Matt Nagy feel like he wasn't brought here to run the ball. You remember he said last year to us. He told you he wasn't brought here to run the ball. I think we're going to have to learn to accept that. He's just not going to do it. And that's him.
Of course, the Bears took a 14-13 lead at halftime. Let's shift over to the second half. Lamont, I'll start with you. You brought it up a few minutes ago. Tom Brady and company, they were frustrated. It was getting chippy between the Buccaneers and the Bears, especially in that third quarter where Tampa Bay was driving, but they had all these penalties. Some of them were questionable. Some of them were not. But Tom Brady, we were talking about this, Lakina, before the start of the season, where NFL players should have been mic'd up or not, because in many of these stadiums they still have no fans, including here in Chicago. Number 65 for Tampa Bay, I forgot his name, but when the offensive false start was called on him, Brady was steaming mad at him on the sidelines. And I would love to be a trainer or a coach or a teammate or a hidden microphone on Tom Brady, because he went off last night, and rightfully so, because Tampa Bay was driving. You could sense that they were trying to put the game away in that second half. It's just everything in that third quarter for Tampa Bay just went from bad to worse.
And one of the reasons I think he was so upset, Sid, was because I don't think Brady has been hit as much he was hit last night in a very long time. They was in Brady face all night, man. I mean, like, they was getting next to him. And so he knew he couldn't afford mistakes like false starts. He knew false starts beat me, and I don't think he's accepted losing yet. I don't think he can ever accept it or get used to it. So he probably going to still do more blow-up like that, because he don't like losing. So are they going to get their act together, or he going to be blowing a lot like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like Ryan Jensen is the name, and we're not supposed to know who you are in the O-line unless you're really good. And like I said, I mean, Jones is like the only, like Ronald Jones is the only healthy, offensive player besides Brady that they've had. I mean, that O-line has been depleted. So, I mean, of course the Bears were going to feast, and, Mac was going to eat whoever, I think it was Jensen that was up against Mac for lunch. So, I mean, I wouldn't blame Tom Brady. Like, I didn't have to deal with this in New England, but, I mean, it's sort of like, again, the breaks, fell the Bears' way again. And, I mean, like I said, I don't know why they didn't run the ball more either. Like I said, Jones, he had about 108, 109 rushing yards, so I don't know why they didn't run the ball more. I mean, they could have milked some clock, and perhaps maybe it would have been a blowout, but I don't know. So, again, it's going to be one of those wins. One of the games you look back and say, if this hadn't happened or if this hadn't happened. But that's just my own little thing.
Let me ask you a question, Lakina. So, all right, they already got half as many games as they won last year. So if they continue to stumble through teams like this and they end up with a 12-win season or a 13-win season, I mean, how would we look at our Bears at that point? Was it a good year, or did we get lucky all year? I mean, at some point we got to stop saying it's luck, and it's just winning ugly. It's like the '83 White Sox; they just winning ugly.
People were saying about the Packers last year, though.
Yeah,
just saying. I mean, they're not going to win 12 or 13 games. That's not happening. So it's a moot point to even ask.
Yeah, I don't
Go ahead, Lamont.
I don't think the Bears season starts until we beat Green Bay. And once we beat Green Bay, then a person may take them serious. So, but until we beat Green Bay, I don't think no one's gonna really take them serious.
I kind of want to piggyback off that point, Lamont. Of course, they play Green Bay on after Thanksgiving in the second half of the schedule. I swear one of y'all is picking my brain this morning. Just over a half hour ago, I was thinking about this before we started recording today. And I said, what happens to the Bears? This is their formula of winning all year. Remember 2001, the Mike Brown season, as I call it? He had those unbelievable pick six finishes against San Francisco and Cleveland. Of course, that team came out of nowhere and won 13 games. Big Jerron, the head coach at the time, got a contract extension after that. It was year 3 of his regime. And so that season kind of saved his job. And that was the last year of old Soldier Field before they played down there in Champaign in the following season. Yeah. I'm not going to say I kind of get the sense of 2001 from this team. We need to see more, but I would not be surprised if this team, even though this defense right now in 2020 is way better than that 2001 defense, that 2001 defense was an opportunistic defense. It wasn't a dominating defense, but it was good enough to win them games. Now, this go-around, the offense is a little bit better than 2001. It is not where it wants to be yet, but this defense in 2020 is way better than that 2001 team.
Yeah. And with that being said, that defense, we always said the defense, if they play up the part, is able to take us places. So if we can just get that consistent play from Nick Foles, I mean, I like that he attempts to go downfield. That's beautiful. I like that he tries to push it downfield from time to time. So, I mean, we could stumble through the season winning like this. I looked at the schedule this morning and it was like, we can win ugly all the way through. Like the game coming up with Carolina, we're going to probably have to win it ugly. I think McCaffrey coming back, so we're going to get tested. So we're going to probably have to win that ugly. So, I mean, we might stumble into 10 or 11 wins like that, man.
You need to think be more logical here, Lamont. You're thinking too much like a fan. You have to think like a logical.
I'm trying.
Well, no. The problem is that the defense has not played a consistent. You can't play you can't have off quarters and then expect to come back and do big plays. The NFL doesn't work like that, especially in today's NFL. So if your offense, is terrible and then or mediocre, well, they're not terrible. They're mediocre at best. But yet your defense has to, save you. Look, we've seen this before with other Bears teams. It comes back to bite you in the butt. And I think this is going to happen here. So we'll see what happens. But look, they got a pretty tough schedule for the rest of the way. So can they win 10, 11 games? Sure, but I'm not banking on it.
Oh, no, I wouldn't bet on it. You hear me say that. Winning ugly seems to be a formula for them right now. So we going to see.
Along with Lakina McGee and Lamont Scott, I am Sidney Brown. You're listening to Second City Sports Weekend Edition as we review the Chicago Bears' victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Soldier Field 2019 for the Bears to improve their record to 4-1 from Thursday Night Football. Guys, let's focus in back on the second half in the defense. Lakina, I'll start with you, and I'll kick this question around to you and Lamont. Khalil Mack's name was being called a lot on Thursday night, as Lamont mentioned earlier. He had 2 sacks and 3 quarterback hurries. It should have been 3 sacks if it wasn't for an offsetting penalty there late in the game. Keena, I'll ask this question to you. Is Khalil Mack back, or do you need to see a little bit more sampling before you say give him back the title as one of the best defensive players in the league?
Well, he showed you why yesterday, though, right? But at the same time, though, I think we need to see more of it before we can say that, okay, yeah, this is why. Yes, they did show you why, but again, we haven't heard his name much all year, so we need to see more of that Khalil Mack.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's back. I mean, I would say it was good to hear his name. I'm not going to say he's back at close to Aaron Donald form or nothing like that. I mean, he did what he was supposed to do last night. I mean, that's what he's supposed to do. That's why we traded for him. That's why we gave him the money. That's what he's supposed to do. But I think another thing, I was looking at one of the stats, like I think they had like 19 quarterback hurries on Brady, and they got like 16 of them with just that front line. So if they can continue to press every team like that, then he will be back. But that remains to be seen. Will they get next to Bridgewater this week coming up like that? So I'm looking forward to see if he's back or was it a fluke?
I think I'm not going to say Khalil Mack is all the way back yet. I guess I'm saying this differently, but I'm kind of with you guys on the boat. I need to see more. It was nice that he showed up on Thursday night, but like you said, we need to see more, especially against better opponents. Like you mentioned, Lamont, with that schedule coming up at Carolina next week, and then 2 weeks from now, you're at Los Angeles against the Rams on Monday Night Football. I believe the week after that, you have the Saints back here in Chicago. But I think Khalil Mack is starting to come back. But like you guys said, I need to see more. But let's keep it real here. He's been double teamed and triple teamed all year, and I know and there's some instances where the calls need to be made for offensive linemen holding him and things of that nature. Yes, but he still needs to find a way to get it done. I think he's starting to turn around, but we need to see more. The defensive backs for the Bears, you guys. Kyle Fuller created that turnover with that big hit, which led to the Bears scoring. I believe it led to the Jimmy Graham touchdown. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I know it did lead to a score. But the Bears, the defensive backs, even though this is an offensive league, they love to get physical. And Kyle Fuller showed that with that big hit on Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm glad they got a flag. I just knew he was going to get a flag. I just knew they was going to take it from him because it was clean. But you know, the NFL is so ticky-tacky now, so I thought they would take it from us, but that was the perfect way to play defense. That's the perfect way to tackle. He did a wonderful job. The rookie doing a great job on the other side. And if they can continue to hold up like that and allow Eddie Jackson to pick around in the back and show up, then, I mean, you know, maybe they'll play up the part, man. Like, you know, they're supposed to be an above-average defense. They need to show it every game, not just against Tampa Bay. And if you remember Monday when we was talking on the show, I asked y'all, has the Bears been holding off that defense for this game? And will the defense show up and play like that in this game because it's Brady? And was they playing down to the competition? But, you know, we'll see next week.
Yeah, I'm glad they picked that ball up. That was that hit that Fuller laid was a clean, you know, typical like 80s hit, and it was with the shoulders, it was with the head. So I'm glad they picked up the flag there. There were some other penalties that you sort of like, okay, why are you calling that? But okay, whatever. But I mean, look, like I said, the consistency. I need more consistency from this defense before I'll give them cookies or a bouquet. I mean, look. I mean, Jalen Jackson has actually been playing very well. I mean, if he can keep doing that, I mean, you know, great. I mean, if Eddie Jackson, I mean, I heard his name like once or twice, but I need to hear his name more. So
yeah,
that secondary, though, I think is going to be the key here as we get through the rest of the season.
Jalen Jackson doing better than Prince was doing. I can tell you that much. He's not getting lit up like Prince was getting lit up over there. So he's doing better already.
Well, he just signed with Arizona, ironically. So
yeah,
there you go.
Signed with Arizona, I see. So.
Yeah, like you said, rookie defensive back Jalen Johnson, he had another great game on Thursday. I know Mike Evans caught a touchdown pass, but like Keenan mentioned earlier in this broadcast, he was limping around toward the end of that game. So you had to admire him for his courage, but the Bears defensive backs did a heck of a job on the Tampa Bay wide receivers last night. Now, Tyler Johnson, he was the only one that showed up for Tampa Bay as far as wide receivers were concerned. He had a good game, but outside of that, you didn't hear much from Tampa Bay. Now, in the beginning of the game, regarding Tampa Bay, I thought their running game was about to take off, and I said, looking at this Bears defense, they didn't break, but they were on the edge of breaking, especially after what happened last week against the Indianapolis Colts. Ronald Jones was just running up and down the Bears defensive line during that first half. But as you guys mentioned, the Bears defense, head coach Matt Nagy made the adjustments at halftime, and that defense showed up in that second half.
I think Brady found something out on as far as Tampa Bay go, I think he found something with his two tight ends with Gronk and Brake. I think that might be how Tampa Bay attack going forward and use Mike Evans only for those goal line big plays because he looked pretty successful going to them two tight ends. So I think he may have figured something out going forward with Tampa Bay. And if we see them again, he might have a bad taste in his mouth if we happen to run into them later on down the road.
Lakina?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, oh, okay. I mean, look, it was obvious that that Tampa offense wasn't healthy. I mean, the defense did what they could, but they had some big plays go by the wayside. So, I mean, look, could we see them again in the playoffs? Maybe, I don't know. But with everything going on, it might be a while before with everything going on. So, again, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, one last question about the Bears game on Thursday before we move on to bigger issues, as LaKenny mentioned, in the National Football League. In your guys' mind, who deserves more credit for Thursday night's win for the Bears? Head coach Matt Nagy or quarterback Nick Foles? Or I'll throw this third option in there, the Bears defense. I'll start with you, Lamont.
I'm going to go with the Bears defense and the defensive coordinator. Because he kept them in there, and he I mean, even though like LaKenna said, they didn't play a complete game, but they kind of showed up when they had to, and that's as far as if you compare it to how the offense didn't show up at all, pretty much in the first half, and there was some questionable calls going on in the first half. So I would have to give it to the defense. I mean, they showed up a little bit. What's his name? Go ahead, again.
No. You finish your thought, Lamont.
Mario Edwards, that's his name. Who was the other linebacker getting in there all night? It was another one getting in there all night. I can't think of his name right now, but it wasn't just Khalil Mack.
Bathan, he had a good game last night.
Yep, I heard his name a few times also. So, yeah, I would give it to the defense.
I'll give it to Foles because he didn't make any mistakes late.
He missed that one in the first quarter, though, at 3rd and 2. Ooh,
the defense had a bad start, too. So, again, because since he's on both sides. So that's I'll give Nick Foles credit. I mean, look, he was able to kind of shake off those early mistakes and was able to get the Bears in field goal range. And ultimately, Cairo Santos ended up winning the game-winning field goal, but also say flukiness, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say Foles, but a little bit of fluke.
Yeah, you brought up some great points, LaKenna, about Nick Foles. He did what he had to do, especially on that last drive of the game. But I had to go with the Lamont Ellis, the defense, because they totally turned it around in the second half. That first half, if you're a Bears fan, you're watching that game in the first half, I'm sure many panic thoughts ran through people's minds saying, oh, here we go again, just like last week against Indianapolis. And Tampa Bay was almost at the door of putting this game away, especially early in that third quarter. But that Bears defense stood tall, and they got pressure on Brady, created a couple of turnovers, had 5 sacks, I think, total for the game. And they turned it around. That's what helped them set up the short field for the Bears offense. So I had to agree with Lamont here. I give that the credit for last night's win to the Bears defense.
All right, so let's talk about the NFL as a whole. A lot of crazy things going on. I think in total, about 14 or 15 players of personnel have tested positive for COVID in the Titans side. Now Stephon Gilmore for the Patriots, he tested positive earlier this week, and now comes word that someone from the Jets, although they're not saying whether or not it was a player or a personnel person, everyone's been sent home. The Cardinals are supposed to be going to New York. They've been told to put that trip on hold. There's already been one game that's already been rescheduled. What do you guys think has been going on here? I mean, the Bills and Titans, they've already been rescheduled for Tuesday. Now you got Broncos and Patriots. Now it's going to be Monday nighters, that was supposed to be a Monday nighter. So Monday night game. So
yeah, I think it's something we're gonna have to get used to. I think it's a situation where a lot of games gonna be moved around. I mean, if we want to get through it, this is what they're gonna have to do it. So I think a lot of games gonna get moved around. I think they may take a nervous approach going towards the end of the season like baseball did and try to put everybody in one place to make sure they get their playoffs in or something like that. But I think they're going to do what they got to do to try to push through regardless. I mean, that could be really dangerous, and that could be, some would say irresponsible. But I think they're going to push through as much as they can to make it happen because I think a lot of people is depending on them to make it through.
As I mentioned before the season started, the NFL is called the Shield for a reason. They'll power this thing through anything. And as I said before the season started, people expected things to go smoothly without a hitch. That's not happening now. As I said, you'll have some minor bumps here and there in the road, but I think they'll get through this as well. Now, if you see about 4, 5, 6 teams, like with the tight situation we're experiencing right now, a quarter of your organization or your roster having this COVID outbreak, things could get worse if you have an entire outbreak throughout the league or even half the league. It's going to be a problem. If you're the NFL, you definitely do not want to get to that point. I know it's how can I put this? I know it's a stress level for them to go through this now, but you rather to go through this now and compared to heaven forbid the scenario I just said just a minute ago. So, like you said, Lamont, all these teams were told when the schedule came out in May, should situations like this happen, games could and will get moved around. So, and that's what we're seeing right now. Now, as far as the Tennessee Titans are concerned, there is, from what I've read and what I've been hearing from this past week, I'm sure you guys heard the same thing as well. They're just stupid. As I say on this show, how dumb can you be? You holding private workouts outside of your bubble, and you have a greater risk of catching this virus. You deserve what happens to you. Now, I was listening to a national sports radio show last night, and I don't know if I'm going to name it on this podcast, but one of the hosts was saying that the Titans, should they be found guilty of this, which sounds like they are going to be. I know the NFL has put tighter restrictions on the COVID safety protocols, that you'll lose draft picks, perhaps forfeit games. If it was me running the National Football League, the Titans would have to forfeit games until their players are negative for more than 2 weeks. I know in real time they can't. Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the National Football League, cannot do that swiftly because you have potential legal battles. Of course, you have the players' union, the NFLPA, that will have to get involved as well. So I'm sure that's why he hasn't acted quickly. But if it was me, the Titans will start forfeiting games. You can't just let stuff like this go on without being checked. And you saw what happened to the Miami Marlins in baseball early in the year. You saw what happened to the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, Commissioner Rod Manfred had to iron fist and put his foot down and say to the rest of the Major League Baseball, if you don't follow these protocols, the season could be in jeopardy. It's something that Commissioner Roger Goodell will have to do right now. I know, like I mentioned before, they have stricter guidelines as of this moment, but if you can't just let the Titans off the hook here. They went off and did their own thing, and there should be a swift penalty coming. There should be a heavy fine and swifter penalties coming.
It should be.
Yeah, I think there will be. I think there will be, especially with, like you said, after what happened with the Marlins and the Cardinals, and they fined the coaches for not wearing their mask properly or wearing face shields. So I think I think Roger Goodell will drop the hammer on them. I just think at this point, look, we're trying to stay on schedule here, and look Cam Newton looks like that was an isolated incident. Also, Stephon Gilmore as well. We'll see what the story is with the Jets player or personnel member. They're not saying who it is. Who tested positive earlier this morning. We're recording on a Friday, but it sounds like there was some reckless behavior, with the Titans. So I'm hoping, I'm sure. Look, I'm sure Goodell will lay the hammer down and say, look, we're still in the middle of a pandemic here, guys. You can't be reckless. You can't do these kind of things. I mean, wear your mask, wash your hands, keep distant, and the rest of your personnel people, make sure everything's wiped clean and sanitized and everything else. I mean, thankfully it hasn't happened with any other teams yet, but if you don't want everything to go haywire, I would suggest we're approaching the quarter through the season. Let's.
Mm-hmm.
I know they already sent out a letter saying that, look, this is what you do. We're trying not to have to shut down and do a bubble type situation. So we'll see what happens.
And you see, they should take a note from the college. You see, the SEC told them people, they go, man, we ain't playing no games with y'all. Let somebody break out down here. It's going to be problems. So maybe Goodell needs to take a look at how they running stuff. They talking about it's going to be problems if they test positive. So maybe he needs to send one of those letters out. I mean, he already ruled with an iron fist. He needs to throw some iron out there right now and let them know.
Oh, Greg Secchi's he don't play that mess. I've I've seen him in action. He don't play that mess. So yeah, I believe him when I saw that too. I believe him when he says, look, y'all, don't even try it.
Yeah, man, he was like, look, it ain't happening. So I like that. No, I was watching the network. I was like, yes, tell him, man, it's not gonna happen down here. So we gonna see.
All right. So
All right.
hold on a second, Sid.
No, I was just trying to set it up because you have our results and we're about to go into our Week 5 NFL picks.
Yes, Jason did gain a couple of games with some of his upset picks. I didn't get his picks for this week. I'm still waiting on, but hopefully, he'll send them at some point. I'll probably post them once this thing gets posted. But Sid, you're still in the lead. Yep, Lamont, you're a game back, and so am I. And Jason actually is 3 games back now because he gained a couple of spots. So, yeah, we're all still very close. So no one's pulling away.
Yeah, I didn't have my greatest week last week, but I'm glad to know I'm still hanging on the first place.
Yeah. Well, look, we didn't either. So, like I said, Jason,
everybody started off this week with a loss. So everybody started off this week with a loss. So we good.
All right. So let's get the music going. All right, we're already at Week 5, gentlemen. All right, now these are subject to change, obviously, but first game out, you got the Rams and Washington. Washington decided to make a switch at quarterback. Dwayne Haskins, bye-bye. Kyle Allen, you're in. And also Alex Smith's now number 2. So what do you think about that? And what do you think about what's your prediction?
I'm going with the Rams. I mean, even if they didn't switch quarterbacks, I would go with the Rams. But that quarterback switch is interesting. What they're giving up in 2 years, it's over. The Haskins experiment is done.
Yeah, that's really saying something if that's the case, Lamont. But I think Washington will play a little bit better. I want to see the front line of the Washington football team get pressure on Jared Goff, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to upset the Rams. I'm going with the Rams like you are, Lamont. Darrell Henderson, he's running the ball very well right now for the Rams. Plus, Jared Goff is actually playing sound football. For the Rams to win, you got to have a solid running game, and Jared Goff, he's almost like their Nick Foles. You can take shots down the field. Do not make mistakes. Of course, on the other side, as you mentioned this guy's name earlier, Lamont, Aaron Donald. I expect him to wreak havoc again, and we'll see if the Rams will do that. Going back on the East Coast for the 3rd time this year. It's going to be tough for a minute, but I do see the Rams squeaking out a win in our nation's capital.
What I would like to see in that game also? The return of the original Mitch Trubisky. I mean, I want to see Alex Smith get in that game. I really do. I want to see him get in and see we still got something in the tank. So, I mean, I don't want the other guy to get hurt or nothing, but I do want to see Alex Smith get in the game.
We'll see if that happens. Like I said, with the travel and some of that and the Washington's front 7, which we've raved about all year, I think they'll keep it close. But like you said, Aaron Donald made the plays late. That Rams offense is looking great. I'm going to pick the Rams. And in a close one, but they'll pull away late. All right, our second noon slate game. We got the Eagles and the Steelers.
I'll start. I am going with the Pittsburgh Steelers because I simply don't believe in the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, yeah, they're in first place, right? But how? I mean, how are they in first place? But I don't think they would beat Pittsburgh. I think Ben Roethlisberger continues to return, and Pittsburgh continues to win that battle of the state.
Yeah, Philadelphia got lucky last week. They decided to wake up in the fourth quarter. They stole a victory from the jaws of defeat at San Francisco on Sunday night. They're still dealing with injuries. I don't like their defense. On the other side, as you mentioned, Lamont, Big Ben, he's almost all the way back. And Pittsburgh's defense is better than what people get it credit for. I know they haven't stepped up a lot this year, but they're starting to work through some things. And plus the game's at home, even though there's no fans. With that being said, I'm going with the Steelers.
The Steelers, I mean, they look, like I said, speaking of luck, the Eagles looked out on that game against the 49ers last week. So I am going to pick the Steelers, and the Steelers will win pretty handily. Now, we don't know if this game is going to go on as scheduled. You know, the Cardinals are not in New York yet. They haven't even left New York yet. So, again, we'll still, pick it because, that's what we do here. Cardinals and the New York Jets.
They may not have to show up to win that one.
Oh my gosh.
Rim shot.
Whenever they decide to show up, and especially if Prince gonna be on the plane, they gonna win, So I'm going with Arizona.
I mean, Arizona.
Well, Prince Amuka.
No, he won't be able to play until the next week. So
Exactly
the way it works, because they signed him late. But I'm gonna pick the Cardinals, even if whether they play this either Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. We get 2 Tuesday nighters. I don't think it's gonna matter.
Play it on Madden. They can play it on Madden. The Cardinals gonna still win.
Yeah, yeah. So I think Kyler will have a big day, and whatever they play, I think the Cardinals will win it pretty handily. I know whatever they decide to play, they may play late. Who knows? But which will probably be better for the Cardinals anyway.
Yeah, The Cardinals are back on the East Coast again for the second consecutive week. They lost their last 2 games to sub-500 teams. I think they learned their lesson. This should be a quote-unquote gift-wrap victory. They're going to have to earn this one whenever they play Lakina. As of right now, they'll play this Sunday. I'm going with the Cardinals. They have a better offensive unit than the Jets do. The Jets' defense is not that great. Arizona should be focused, and they should walk out of there with a victory.
All right, intrigue one here in the AFC West. You got the Las Vegas Raiders and the undefeated Chiefs.
I'm going with Kansas City until somebody beat them. I mean, and I don't think the Raiders is that team. Yeah, the Raiders got lucky and beat the Saints, but that's what that's about.
Oh, Lord.
The Raiders are a little bit better than what people give them credit for. I know they lost to Buffalo. I know that score. Don't let that final score fool you, even though I did pick the Raiders last week. But that's revisionist history. They had to go back on the road in a hostile environment, even though there won't be as many fans in Kansas City, but still it's a division game on the road. I'm with Lamont. Until somebody beats Kansas City, I'm going ahead and take the Chiefs.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's hard. I didn't like what I saw from what I've seen from the Raiders the last couple of weeks. I'm going to pick the Chiefs, too, begrudgingly. All right, in the AFC South, you got the Jags and the Texans. Bill O'Brien, if you had Bill O'Brien as being the first coach to be fired, to get his pink slip and your late card.
Yes, he has them.
Royal Cornell takes over. Will that make a difference? Sid, you start.
I think it will because if you read the stories and heard our friend of the show, our guy Sean Salisbury on his local morning show in Houston, players have been yelling at him, i.e. J.J. Watt, and other players have been discontent with him for the past couple seasons. It's a breath of fresh air. You play in the Jaguars. Of course, those 2 teams are division rivals. As you miss at home, it's going to be a close game, but I see Houston with the breath of fresh air and their quote-unquote nemesis gone. I got the Texans winning the game. It's going to be close, but I have Houston winning.
I have them winning also, Sid, because their problem for losing is gone. I mean, I think he was the reason they was losing. I think he was the reason that Deshaun was having a shaky season. J.J. Watt down there beating up lockers and stuff. So, yes, I think he was excited to win.
Yeah, we saw all those stories that came out about Bill O'Brien. I think, look, Roy this is not his first rodeo, so I think he'll bring a new energy and new focus. And I think the Texans will be inspired. I think Deshaun Watson will have his best game of the season. Defense will have their best game of the season. I think they win to get their first win of the season. All right, a good one here. All right, a good one here in the AFC North. You got the Bengals and the Ravens. Lamont?
I love Joe Burrow, but I think Lamar Jackson has missed practice 2 or 3 times this week, so I don't know what's going on with him. But I know RG3 is ready to go if need be, so I think Baltimore should win that game, even with Lamar Jackson maybe not being 100%. And although they will have to win it because Joe Burrow will try to take it. So, but I think Baltimore should pull it out.
Don't put me down as this official pick, but wherever the point spread is, take Cincinnati. But for whoever wins overall, take Baltimore.
Yeah, I think they'll keep it close. The Bengals will, but I think the fact that not having an old line, I think is going to get them. I think they're not. I don't think John Harbaugh is going to make sure his guys don't look ahead in this game. So I think they will. I think it'll be close, but I think the Ravens will win late. All right. NFC South, we got the Panthers and the Falcons, the winless Falcons.
I'm mad at
I'll start.
You're mad about the Falcons. Go ahead, Sid.
I'll start. I'm going with the Falcons. I will be looking at this game via my computer. Of course, the Bears will be playing the Panthers next week, so you'll surely be getting an early look at the Bears' next opponent. With that being said, Atlanta they didn't show up for 60 minutes on Monday night against the Packers. Of course, Carolina had an impressive win against Arizona at home last week. Carolina has to go on the road to Atlanta in a important division game. This is Atlanta's last chance, excuse me, to put it all together. If they cannot get a win here, I think Dan Quinn will be your second head coach to get his link card in a pink slip. I'm not going to say this is a gift wrap victory, but if this isn't close to a gift wrap victory for the Falcons, I don't know what is. So with that being said, I'm going with the Falcons at home.
Yeah, the Falcons let me down by not scoring one more touchdown and covering that point spread the other night. So
they came very close, Lamont. They came very close, and they would have scored.
He couldn't throw one touchdown. I was like, really? But they should throw a couple more touchdowns against Carolina. They should beat Carolina. Like you say, this is close. They're going to get to a gift wrap, so they better win it. Or like you say, someone may be getting another pink slip before the season over.
I'm stepping out. I'm picking the Panthers. Like, I don't trust this Falcons team at this point. Like, Dan Quinn will be the second coach to get his pink slip and link card. So I'm picking the Panthers. Look, Teddy Bridgewater's been playing very well. Mike Davis actually leads the league in rushing, believe it or not. So,
and he was on our team last year, didn't do much.
We'll talk about him next week as they face the Bears. But right now,
he only had 7 carries for us, didn't he? Like 7 carries.
Hold on now. Hold that thought. Hold that thought for next week, Lamont. I'll pick the Panthers, and the Falcons will go 0-5. I don't trust them anymore. Dolphins and 49ers.
This is my upset.
Go ahead, Sid.
This is my upset special of the week. I'm going with the Dolphins. I know San Francisco, they gave their game away to Philadelphia last Sunday night on national television. I don't know who's coming back from injuries, who is and who isn't. I know this for sure. Jimmy Garoppolo is not coming back soon. And San Francisco has had problems with their defense, especially all year long because of injuries. The offense is sputtering out of control. If you watch that fourth quarter, you saw it right there. I know that C.J. Beathard is came off the bench to give the 49ers a little spark, but Do you expect that to carry over to this Sunday's game? I don't think so. Miami's defense, even though it didn't show up in the second half in that loss against Seattle, I trust Miami more. And plus, I got a little bit more faith in them. They'll play a full 60-minute game. With that being said, I'm taking the Dolphins.
Man, Sid, this might be the game that allowed me to catch you. I don't think Miami can do it. Miami having some Tua problems down there, man. Tua in the background saying he ready to play. And don't nobody know why he ain't playing. So they got a little confusion going on around the locker room. So I'm going to go with San Francisco. They're going to get 2 more people back this week. And San Francisco, with the little spark you just mentioned from Beckett, I'm going to have to go with the 49ers, man. So I'll be watching that with you.
Yeah.
Right, I'll be watching it via my computer.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching the 49ers. I think the 49ers will win this too. I think, like you said, I mean, yes, Garoppolo's not going to be back yet, but they do get a couple of their guys back. I think Nick Mullins will get – even C.J. Beathard, I think that they'll probably go with him, and I think they're going to be okay. I think the Dolphins, like you said, Lamont, they're just not there yet. They'll keep it close, though, but I don't think they're there yet. All right, Giants and Cowboys. Go ahead, Lamont.
I'll start. The Cowboys got to win, or Mike McCarthy. The Cowboys got to win, or Mike McCarthy might be getting the pink slips after 1 year. Because anytime your linebacker get on TV and say people don't play for 70 plays, I mean, I didn't even know how to react to that. I didn't even know what to say about that when he said that. Like, he had the whole NFL looking at him like, what is he talking about? Like, did he really just tell on us like that? So Mike McCarthy don't seem to have a hole or nothing in Dallas. Like, and I think he was such a great coach in Green Bay because he had a great quarterback, if not the best quarterback in the world, up there in Green Bay. So it's showing now how much he needed Aaron Rodgers, and now not as much as Aaron Rodgers needing him. So I think Mike McCarthy got a barn fire going on down there in Dallas, and Jerry Jones might not stand for it too long.
I'm going with the Cowboys here because they are the better team, but the Dallas defense, they have to show up. Then this could be a quote-unquote potential gift wrap victory. The Giants, they did keep it close against the Rams last week. Actually had a chance to tie it on their last drive, but Daniel Jones threw an interception, so they ended the Giants' hopes right there. If the Dallas defense cannot get right against a bad Giants team who are in rebuilding mode, then I don't know what to tell you. Dallas should almost sleepwalk through a victory, but I want to see how the Dallas defense plays. And real quick before we get to LaKenneth's pick, Lamont, I know you're going to be sitting in front of your television watching that game this Sunday. You know who's calling that game for CBS?
Dick Stockton? No, Tony Romo.
No.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, but really?
You know he's going to be showing all the Cowboys love on Sunday.
You know what? But because they got to win it. I'm going with them because they got to win it.
I'm going to pick the Cowboys because they should. I hope they'll give up like 500-something yards again. I hope not. That defense needs to show up, but we'll see. Okay, next up in the 3-1 here in the AFC, you got the Colts, 3-1 teams. You got the Colts and the Browns.
That was my hardest game of the week. I mean, I don't – everybody was thinking Cleveland's back because they were playing against Dallas is what I'm thinking. So I'm going to go with Indianapolis to win this game, even though it's in Cleveland, right? I'm still going to go with – I'm going to go with Indianapolis defense on the road. I think they're going to be able to figure out Baker, and I think OJ, he'll come back down to normal. And his normal is normal.
LaKenna, before I give my pick, LaKenna, guess who's calling this game for CBS on Sunday?
Oh, our buddy Spiro Ditas and Aaron Marcelletta?
Yes.
Nice.
So I'll definitely be watching this game via my computer. But I'm kind of like Lamont. This is a toss-up game. I know in Vegas it's a pick-em as we speak right now. I want to get behind Cleveland, but I'm going to go with my gut pick from earlier in the week. I'm going with Indianapolis. Of course, what happened here in Chicago last week swayed me to that. I got to see a little bit more for Cleveland. It wouldn't shock me if Cleveland won, but I got to see more for the Browns. And the Colts, from their rankings first, their defense is concerned, they're for real. So I'm going with the Colts on the road.
I don't think
they missing Nick Chubb, right?
Yeah, he's gonna be gone for a while, so that's why I'm picking the Colts. Because I don't think he'll be able to. They're not gonna be able to pull off those gimmicky plays against Frank Wright's defense. You're not gonna be able to do it. So, I've been telling y'all the Colts are for real. They're gonna show you again. I'm glad our buddy Spiro and Adam they're gonna get that game about a 3-1 team. Should be a good one. All right, Sunday nighter here. You got the Vikings and the Seahawks. Lamont.
Okay, they're in Seattle, and I think the Russell Wilson MVP show continues. I mean, Minnesota has been up and down all year. Probably won't have a good game till they play the Bears. So I'm going with Seattle to win this game. I ain't going to say handily, but Seattle should win this game, and Russell Wilson should do what Russell Wilson does.
Sid? Oh, I think we lost Sid, but yeah, I'll go ahead and just do my pick. This is gonna be one of my upset. I think the Vikings, because the Seahawks kind of showed you that maybe they get a little bit, the hiccups a little bit. You can probably say they probably should have lost that game against the Cowboys. Minnesota needs a get-right game, so I think this might be the get-right game for them. They've been up and down. Hopefully they can turn the corner against the Seahawks, and this is their way to do it. If they can get back to 2-3, they can kind of like, get it started. So,
If they run.
Yeah, I mean, if they get down to cook the ball, that's been more effective right now. So I think if they let him, because the front seven for Seattle is okay, but not great. So I think if they feed Dalvin Cook, I think they'll do just fine. I think they can pull off the upset, the mini upset, I should say.
Yeah, and I don't know why they went away from that. You know what I'm saying? Like they went away from that for some reason, but that's a winning formula down there.
All right, so we'll go ahead and do one of these Sunday nighters since we're trying to establish this connection. Okay, you got first up, you got Denver and the Patriots.
Is Cam back? Cam back, right?
No, he has to take off another week.
Okay, and although I got a heartfelt Denver thing, I'm still going with New England, even with the backup in there. Denver still, they don't look like they got everything in place yet. So I can't trust them. I just can't trust them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Denver, they're not there yet, and I don't think they will be there, especially the Locke's is out too for a little bit. So I think, look, Hoyer, I think he'll be fine, or still whoever it ends up being, I think they'll be all right. And yeah, so I think the Patriots will win it again. So I think they'll do. Yeah, I think they'll be just fine as we establish this connection back. We'll give them a second to set up. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
Although I do root for Denver for one person, the center is a relative, so I root for their center, Mr. Lloyd Cushenberry. So I root for him.
So, what's your Vikings and Seahawks pick?
I'm going with the Seahawks, even though Jamal Adams will be missing from this game. I do not trust Kirk Cousins on the road for the Vikings. I know that they won at Houston last week. They gave the ball to Dalvin Cook. If they continue to do that, I think they will have a chance. But as Lamont mentioned ever since week 2 of this season, Russell Wilson is your MVP. And plus, I don't like that Vikings defense from this year. As we told you guys, even though I did pick them to win the NFC North, their defense was going to struggle this year. They almost gave their game away to Houston on the road last week. So if Russell Wilson continues to do his thing, I expect Seattle to come out there with a tough win at home on Sunday night. So I'll go with the Seahawks.
All right, what about Broncos Patriots?
This is a tough one to pick. Assuming that Cam Newton plays, I'm going with the Patriots. Jerry Stidham doesn't get it done for me. I know he looked good on his first touchdown drive last week, but he looked bad in his last 3 series of the game against Kansas City last week. And Brian Hoyer, even though he didn't mess it up, he didn't look that great either. So I'm assuming that Cam Newton's going to play. I'm going to play it safe here and picking the Patriots. The Broncos is Ripken going to be the quarterback again. That team's a mess.
Well, I think Cam's got to take off one more week before drug test. But I think it shouldn't be an issue either against the Broncos, though. All right, the other Monday nighter, Chargers and New Orleans.
Now y'all don't.
I'm going with the Saints.
That's a smart pick, Sid. That's a smart pick.
Oh, good grief! I'm going with the Saints too.
Well, y'all already knew I was going with the Saints. Huh? That's smart. I'm glad y'all knew that already, because, yeah, they're going to win.
All right, real quick. A Tuesday nighter here. You got the Bills and the Titans. I'm picking the Bills. I just don't think the Titans are going to have enough. I was going to pick them anyway, regardless, even though this crazy week they're having. So if they play this game, the Titans are not going to have the practice. So I would be surprised if the Bills win this pretty easily.
You know what? The Bills, I was picking the Bills regardless. If everybody was healthy on Tennessee team, I was picking the Bills. I mean, they got a great quarterback growing over there. So, and he got great relationship with his receiver right now. So I was going with Buffalo regardless.
I learned my lesson of going against Buffalo last week against the Raiders, and Buffalo came out of there with an impressive win on the road. Even if this game was being played on Sunday, Monday, next year, next millennium, I'm with you guys. Let's make it a clean sweep. I'm going with Buffalo. As you mentioned, Lamont, Josh Allen, that quarterback, he's growing up before our eyes. You have a number one wide receiver in Stephon Diggs, who showed up last week in Oakland once again. And you have, as I keep telling people, you have a good second-year running back named Devin Singletary. He should run through that Titans defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be the key there too. And I think Josh Allen has another good outing. And like I said, I think I had the Titans, I had the Bills winning. If either the Titans didn't have that crazy week that they're having, so don't be surprised if this isn't being the blow-up. That'll be nationally on CBS.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and the NBA Finals. Will LeBron, AD, and the Lakers end it tonight? Half our field is set for the LCS series in baseball, and some great college football matchups that some might be affected by the weather.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with more Second City Sports Zoom style right after this. All right, folks, welcome back to another edition of Second City Sports Zoom style.
Zoom style.
Once again, I'm Lakina McGee. You follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the Instagram.
You can follow me at Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
You can follow yours truly, Sid the Kid, on Twitter and Instagram at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. You can follow this show, Second City Sports, along with our other programming from War Media by simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take 5. You can follow live podcasting, folks. Live podcasting. You can follow this program, Second City Sports, part of War Media. Simply searching for War on Anchor, which kicks you over to Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Wherever you download your podcast, make sure you download Second City Sports and War on Anchor. We're also on iHeartRadio. Please download the iHeartRadio app. When you do, please type in the search engine box, War on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. And we're also on YouTube at War Media. In your search engine box on YouTube, just type in War Media. And you can watch our lovely faces do fine programming. Like now, you're watching us right now, right? Voila, you can see our lovely, beautiful faces.
All right, a quick note though on week 5. The first start of the bye weeks starts on Sunday. The Lions and the Packers are out. So if you have Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Matt Stafford, or Kenny Galloway, I mean, you better sit them for your fantasy purposes, just saying. All right.
And also, too, this is for Lamont. His guy, Dick Stockton, will not be calling games this weekend for Fox. He has the week off.
Okay.
So he has a bye week.
Oh. Okay, so on that note, the NBA Finals Game 5, the Lakers can end it tonight. They're actually going to be playing in the Mamba jerseys. They've played very well. I think they're undefeated, and they've actually played their best games wearing the Mamba jerseys. So do you guys think it ends tonight?
I hope so. I mean, why continue to put us through the frustration? Take us out of our misery. Get it over with. Let us move on to next year and see can they defend the title in a full season against 4 people, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, I'm not going to say that this is a hand-wrapped series for them. I like Jimmy Butler's confidence. He say they still in it. And in his head, they probably are. So it's like hopefully, as Jason would put it, the gentleman's sweep happens tonight. I'm quite sure they're going to have the champagne there tonight, regardless.
I think for the Miami Heat, what brings them confidence into a Game 5 situation is what happened in Game 4. They were in it throughout the whole game. Jimmy Butler did his thing with 22 points. Tyler Hero contributed as well as Duncan Robinson shooting the threes from the outside. They were in that game the whole way. The Lakers just came up with big plays down the stretch. In particular, Anthony Davis and LeBron James. LeBron James almost had another triple-double with 28 points, 12 rebounds, along with 8 dimes. For the Lakers, for them to win in Game 5, they will have to come out more dominant and establish the inside play, especially with Anthony Davis early. You cannot depend on LeBron James. If you depend on LeBron James, it's going to be trouble, and you will give Miami Heat just that much more confidence, as you mentioned, Lamont, with how Jimmy Butler's carrying himself and his belief within his teammates. So for the Lakers, they just had to establish their style of play early, in particular Anthony Davis, because as we said before, during this series and during this whole playoff run for the Lakers, if you depend on LeBron to carry you, you're going to be a whole lot of trouble. And also, too, Mike Caruso and Kyle Kuzma, can they come up big one more time to end this in Game 5?
Lamont?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, like I've been saying the whole time, Anthony Davis is the best player on that team. He the reason they will win it. He the person that has to carry them over the threshold. Even though LeBron gonna go the headlines, he's gonna get all the credit. But Anthony Davis is the reason that they winning and the reason that they will win. Now, if he comes out and plays a subpar game, then they probably will lose a game. But Jimmy Butler just don't have enough help to get the job done. I mean, when it all boils down to it, he don't have enough help to get the job done. So I think it probably will end the night. I think LeBron is, 79% or something in closeout games. So I think he will probably close it out, and they will go on to talk about how he's the greatest in the game and he's led 3 franchises to championships and all of those other things that people say that want to put him at the top of the heap. But it's just another season. I mean, the Miami Heat has had a great year. They've done what nobody thought they could do. I think them losing Goran Dragic really took all of their chances of winning out of it, because he was their leading scorer and he was the second most, I think, tenured veteran on that team other than Iggy. So, you know, it was a good run. So I look for the Lakers to end it.
Yeah, I think the Lakers will end it tonight, too. I think, like I said, the Mamba jerseys, they always play better. They have the most dominant performances with the Mamba jerseys. You know, got the 4 Kobe mantras already trending. So, and I think LeBron wants to end it tonight. I'm sure for his own sanity, and also AD too. So I think they're gonna, if they pounce on the Heat early, they're very hard to beat. So this would be, I think this would be what, the 12th or the 13th title overall for the Lakers. I'm not sure. I'm sure we'll see if it does happen tonight. But I think the Lakers will win. I would be surprised if they don't do it in dominating fashion.
Now, you know what I don't think? I don't think they both stay there if they do win it tonight. I think one of them ain't going to be there next year.
Lamont's conspiracies. But I want to ask you guys this question. Should the Lakers wrap it up in Game 5, or somehow if it goes to a Game 6, or heaven forbid if you're a Lakers fan, it goes to a Game 7, which I don't think is going to get that far. But assume that the Lakers wrap it up in Game 5 or a Game 6 or Sunday, and if Anthony Davis has a dominating performance, do you guys give him the NBA Finals MVP over LeBron James? Lakina, I'll start with you.
I think kind of have to, or maybe, but I would be surprised if they do co-MVPs. They probably won't do it, but I think that's probably the most logical thing to do. I mean, look, I mean, LeBron, picked up the slack when, AD had a bad game. AD was dominant when LeBron has a bad game. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a lobbying to do a co-finals MVP, right? I think that's only happened like once in the history of the finals. So I wouldn't mind a co-MVP, but if I had to pick one, I probably would say LeBron more than AD, because AD didn't have his best game in Game 5, and LeBron actually did have a pretty good game in Game 4, I should say. So I think, Yeah, so I think that LeBron will probably get it.
If they get that to LeBron, they're going to almost assure Anthony Davis to leave in that city next year. I'm telling you, Anthony Davis should get it because he's the reason that they won it. And he should get it because of that. LeBron has been LeBron, so to speak. But I don't think he should get the MVP. I think it's AD because AD is the reason they're winning. Like, if AD wasn't on the court, I believe if AD's gone and they play with LeBron, they lose. But if LeBron leave, I believe they could actually win still with AD in the game.
I'm kind of with you on that, Lamont. If LeBron James is not on that team and everything stays the same, and LeBron James is not on that team, well, the Lakers are still a good team. They are a playoff team. Are they a championship team? Probably not, but they will be knocking at the door. If Anthony Davis is not on the team, everything stays the same. The Lakers are still a good team, but they're still not a championship team either. Oh, that's right. We found that out last year when LeBron was hurt. You look what happened. So that's proof all you need right there. But I'm kind of with Lakina. I wouldn't mind seeing co-MVPs. But if should the Lakers close it out in Game 5 and Anthony Davis has a dominating performance, I would give it to Anthony Davis. But for some reason, some media people are biased and they are human. They'll probably just end up giving it to LeBron James anyways and say, hey, okay, here's your fourth title overall. Here's your third with a different franchise. Okay, you're the best player in the game. Here's our makeup award for not giving you the regular season MVP. Here's your finals MVP. Go away. That's how I see it.
Right off into the sunset. And it wouldn't surprise me too if LeBron decides to retire after this. I mean, look, four NBA titles. Look, with 3 different franchises, nobody's ever done that. So, yeah, there's some incentive.
He's not going to get 6. He's not going to get 6.
Well, I'm sure I'm sure even I'm sure he'll admit it now. I mean, look, you can tell his body's starting to kind of break down. You know, he's 35. He's been playing in the NBA since he was 18. So, I'm sure he might not have any incentive to do it anymore if they end up winning.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk more about this on Monday with Jason. Going to the MLB playoffs. It's all set. The LCS is all set on the National League side. It'll be the Braves and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah.
Okay, Braves sweep the Marlins, something that the Cubs couldn't do. And the Dodgers swept the Padres. They just hammered them. Look, I think the Dodgers are on a mission. Look, I know Ronald Acuna Jr. and Freddie Freeman, and they got a pretty good pitching staff, but I think the Dodgers are out for blood. This will go 6 games, but I got the Dodgers winning, and I think they know that this is their chance to do it, and they need to do it this year.
Yeah, I'm going with you, Lakina. The Dodgers, they playing like they on a mission, and I think that's because of one player, Mookie Betts. I think those years when the Dodgers was getting close and they would lose it, they didn't have a Mookie Betts. They didn't have that it. Mookie Betts is an it. And he brings it to the field every time he go on the field. And I think the Dodgers have that it this year. I'm just hoping that the team in the AL can meet him in the World Series so we can see history.
Shout out to Cody Bellinger, the Dodgers outfielder, sometimes first baseman. He had the incredible catch to rob Fernando Tatis Jr. in Game 2 during that Game 2 victory the other day. With that being said, Lamont, I'm with you. We talked about it all year. Fernando Tatis and Mookie Betts are your 1-2 MVP voting for the National League. Like you said, Lamont, Mookie Betts, this is his time to shine, and everybody else following him. The Braves, they got past what happened to them last year in the divisional round, being embarrassed by St. Louis, especially in Game 5 in their backyard. They swept the Marlins this year, unlike the Cubs, like Lakina mentioned. I think they will show up. I think they have learned that lesson. I think they'll give the Dodgers a scare, but I don't think it's going to be enough to upset them. I'm not saying an upset can happen, but I just don't see it. I'll be rooting for the Braves personally. I don't hate the Dodgers, but I like that Braves roster. I think they'll give everything they have to meet the challenge to the Dodgers. But the Dodgers should win this series in 5, but I'm with Lakin. I'm going in within 6. And I'm not trying to be nice here, but I'm giving the Braves an extra win in this series. But the The Dodgers should win this in 5. But I wouldn't be surprised if it would go 6.
Yeah, and like Lamont said, I mean, Mookie Betts is a big difference here. And I think having him there, I think, kind of gives him the stability. And he has won with the Red Sox, so I think that helps sort of get the mindset going, get the confidence going. So
they
like,
look to, they look for a winner.
Yeah. So yeah, and I don't think
And also,
that Atlanta team is really good. So like I said, that's why I'm giving them 2 games.
And also to pay attention to that Dodgers bullpen. Kenley Jansen, who has had his problems closing the last couple of years, including this year. I know he caught the COVID before the season started. He's okay now. But he wasn't used in the last 2 games of that Padres series. It's going to be interesting to see how Dodgers manager Dave Roberts will use Kenley Jansen. If it's a tight game in the night, will he go to him, or will he use him in the mop-up role, or will he use him in the setup role? We shall see what happens in this NLCS against the Braves.
At this point in his career, I think he's just happy to be used wherever he can. I don't think he has the ego at this point to where he feel like he got to be the closer at this point. I think he want what's best for the team. He won a World Series title too, so he understand what he's doing.
He better have that attitude or else.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, Kelly's way in the wings like, hello, everybody. I'm ready. I'm ready. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. All right, in the AL, half of it is set. So you got the Houston Astros. Yay.
Okay.
They're just. They're just being petty, like on the social media. I mean, like, what the heck, really? Like, good grief. Darn you, Oakland A's. We all believed in you, but no. Who do you?
That Tommy La Stella getting hit by that ball hurt them. I think if he would have stayed in that game, they might have won.
All right. Who do you think wins the game decider tonight? You've got the Yankees and Rays. They're tied at 2.
Ooh.
I think that the Yankees will take this one tonight. I know I predicted the Yankees in 5. As I said, this series would go the distance. Shout out to Jordan Montgomery, who had a heck of a start for the Yankees in Game 4, and they shut down the Tampa Bay Rays early and often. And rolled this champion. Nice for him to show up in this series, huh? He had a mop-up role in the Game 4 victory. What I expect in Game 5, I think it's going to be tight, but I think the Yankees will do enough just to come through. As I said before, as a fan, I'm rooting for Tampa Bay, but I think the whole baseball world, including the MLB executives and those at Fox, I think Fox has the ALCS this year. It's not them, it's TBS, but those TV executives at MLB head offices wants the Yankees and the Astros one more time. But with that being said, I think the Yankees will wrap it up in Game 5.
Yeah, I think Toronto has fought hard. Toronto has showed up. And if Toronto won, it wouldn't be a shocker.
Tampa, you mean?
I'm sorry, Tampa, yeah. But it wouldn't be a shock. It wouldn't be a shocker. It'd be, they've been doing it all year, so to speak. But I'm going with the Yankees. But like Sia said, my heart is with them.
Yeah, I think the Yankees looked at their backs are getting it together. Like you said, Jordan Montgomery had a big. I wasn't confident he would be able to do what he did yesterday against the Rays, but he did. I mean, Garrett Cole gets starting to slide. It'll also be Tyler Glasnow, I should say, for the Rays. So it should be a good one tonight. I mean, will it be a pitcher's duel? Could it be at bats? I mean, but I think the Yankees pull it out. My gut's telling me the Yankees, and like you said, so that TBS actually has the ALCS, so. I'm thinking the Turner people probably are going to want to see a Astros Yankees ALCS one more time, and I think that's what's going to happen. All right, college football. We got a lot of time left still, so sort of like a mini studs and duds. Who are your studs and duds for Week 5 in the college football?
Let's see.
Well, as Lamont will get his thoughts together, Lakina, you know me, college football isn't my thing, but there's one game I'm looking forward to, and that's on Saturday night. That's the University of the Miami Hurricanes against the Clemson Tigers. Of course, as our good friend Maggie Hendricks would say, the hell with Dabo Swinney. It was a nice story a couple years ago. He had Deshaun Watson knocking off Alabama. That was nice, but I'm kind of sick of him like I'm sick of Alabama. I am for the game. I am rooting hard as hell for the University of Miami. I know they've run the ball well this year. They're at the top of college football in terms of yardage per game. I think over 270 yards around that number. I know they had a big win against Florida State about a week or so ago. They just murdered Florida State. It seems like the squad is back now, just like to a couple of years ago when they had an outside chance of playing for the national championship. I want to see if they can compete on a national stage. And this will be their test against Clemson on the road against a national championship team. Obviously, this is a conference schedule type season, so I want to see how Miami competes for 60 minutes.
I don't think they're gonna compete that well. I mean, they got a good quarterback right now, and their team is being followed by him and led by him, and they're following him. But I don't think they're ready. They got too many holes, man. They're not ready to play Clemson like that. They're not ready for that.
If this was in Florida, I think I would give them a puncher's chance, Miami. But that Clemson team's too good. And look, I think they'll keep it close because I think De'Aaron King is probably the best quarterback they've had in a while down there in Miami. But that defense is on a mission. That offense, Trevor Lawrence is doing Trevor Lawrence things. And I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout, but I don't think it's going to be close. So it'll be interesting, though. But look, it's going to be fun. Look, you get a nationally televised game tomorrow night on ABC. So it should be a fun one.
Yeah, I want to see the Miami defense get a couple of turnovers. I want to see the turnover chain. That's what I want to see, to be honest with you.
We'll see. I mean, look, Lawrence really makes mistakes, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to this one here in the ACC. Got Tech and Clemson. I mean, Tech and North Carolina, I should say. I mean, this should be a fun one here. So it's going to be in Chapel Hill. I think this should be a very interesting game because they're very even. Their styles are very even. So I'm looking forward to this one down in Chapel Hill.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had a chance to watch Virginia Tech play this year yet, but I will be trying to peep in and check that one out. North Carolina, that's a game that's going to be played hard anyway, simply because of where it's at in the division that they're in. And I think all of those teams over there feel like they got a little extra something to prove, but them bringing in another team this year.
Mm-hmm. Also, you got in Dallas, of course, the annual matchup in the Cotton Bowl down in Dallas. You have Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma has 2 losses, but I think it's still the Cotton Bowl matchup. You got the annual. Look, there's no fair this year because of COVID, but it should be. Look, you throw the records out the window when these two teams play, so that should be a fun one down in Dallas.
And that's what I'm thinking. I think Texas they might. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost a third game. I really wouldn't. It's Texas. It's Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to come to play regardless. Even if ain't nothing on the line, they're going to come to play. So if Oklahoma were to lose, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't.
Is it the big news Saturday game on Fox?
It is. Yes, it is.
Like Lamont said, I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma lost again, but I know Texas, people expected many things out of the Longhorns this year, but somehow, some way, you got to think that Oklahoma's got a rebound, correct? You would think.
You would think. Yeah, if you're an OU fan, you're hoping, because I'm sure people are going to be asking for Lincoln Riley's head if they don't.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think this is the type of game that they might not rebound in. You know what I'm saying? This is a big. It's kind of like when you in high school and you play against that one school that you hate. Whenever they always some fireworks. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost it.
Speaking of the 11 a.m. Central Time games, you got a good one here in the SEC. You got Florida and Texas A&M.
Florida, I haven't seen a lot of, but I've seen Texas A&M, and I actually like them a little bit. I like Texas A&M a little bit, so I will be probably watching to see can they beat Florida. Like I said, I haven't watched Florida a lot yet this year, but I will be trying to catch it if I can. Like, I try to watch at least 5 of them games on Saturday.
It's going to be interesting to see how Texas A&M bounce back. The last time I saw them, they got their heads blown off by Alabama a couple weeks ago. So they had to play Florida, which is one of the top teams in the SEC every year, i.e., the Alabama Conference. If I had to make a bet, I'm going with Florida.
Look, I've been looking at Florida through like its replay games. Kyle Pitts, the big tight end, I think he leads among all tight ends right now in Division I with 6 touchdown catches. This guy's a stud. A lot of people already say he could be a top 10 pick. We'll see. This will be a fun one here, but I think Florida's defense, they got a couple of studs on defense too, so I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being the blowouts. Should be a fun one there, as it usually is. There's just a couple of niche notes here. You got LSU and Missouri. They're actually going to be moving that game to Missouri because
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, Hurricane Delta's going on right now. It's getting pounded right now.
That was when you had asked about my dud. That was my one dud. I was like, they're gonna move the LSU game, and I mean, LSU do let fans in their games now. I think they let like 30,000 in or so. So they're moving that game to Missouri. LSU need to win this game, and they need to look good if they want to try to make it into that top 20 at all. If they go down there and show up poor, it's gonna be bad news for my value boys.
Another good one here in the SEC, you got Tennessee and Georgia. I know you're looking forward to that one, Lamont.
Yes, I'm saying this is the game that we find out if Tennessee is real. This is that game. Now, we've been on Tennessee back for a couple of years. I mean, if Jason was on, he'll probably be saying it right now too. So this is the game. This is their measuring stick. You know how we had spoke earlier in the baseball season about that White Sox game being their measuring stick? This is their measuring stick to see if Tennessee's program is back, headed with a projected arrow up. So I will be watching this game closely to see if they're back or will they just fall apart and continue to be a stepping stone in the SEC.
I think it's going to be a closer game than what people give it credit for, but I expected Georgia to make some plays down this stretch and pull it out, maybe a field goal at the end, but I expected to win about between 5 and 7 points.
Yeah, I agree. So this should be a really fun one here. I like what they're doing down there in Tennessee. Let's see another one. Oh, you think Florida State could upset Notre Dame?
No.
No.
Florida State beat Jacksonville.
It'll be great, but I don't expect it.
How about Ole Miss and Alabama? A lot of people were saying the Alabama should be on upset alert.
That they should be.
I like that defense. I like that defense down there in Oxford.
And they got a coach.
Yeah.
So they got a coach that know a little bit about that coach.
Look, Lane Kiffin had this game circled when he got the coach. Okay, when do I play Alabama? Oh, here we are.
I seen him on the network yesterday talking. He said as soon as he got hired, that was the first person he called to thank him for the job. Because if it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have his start. So he was being interviewed on the Paul Feinberg show yesterday. And he was talking about how it wasn't circled and it didn't mean such a big thing. But I think it do. And I think he'll love to be the one to hit them in the head and and get some extra noise and some extra attention on that Ole Miss squad right now. So I will be checking that one out also.
When people said that it's not a big game, it's not personal. I know those people are trying to keep their names out of the headlines. Deep inside it's personal. So this is no different right here.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. And plus, he needs it for recruiting too. I mean, you got Mike Leach down there in Mississippi State. Now you got Dion down there in Jackson State. So you got that he's going to get some of those recruits as well. So
I think he might get a lot out of Florida. I think he's going to steal a lot of people out of Florida and bring them to Mississippi.
Well, we'll see. I mean, the name recognition, but we'll see. Should be interesting. Still a couple of COVID notes, I guess you can say. The FAU Southern Miss game, that's been postponed due to, I guess, there was a COVID outbreak down in FAU. And also Les Miles, the Kansas coach, had tested positive.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's unfortunate, but he's feeling better, so that's good news there. And Baylor has had to halt practices and all football activities because of COVID. There was, I guess, like one of the personnel folks, I guess, down there tested positive. So unfortunately, this is going to become like nature of the beast. So for everybody that's trying to get like the Pac-12 and the Big Ten to come back, this is what you're going to be dealing with. So I hope people are ready for this, because this is going to be the thing that you're going to have to deal with for basically the whole season.
Well, Lovey say his team ready to go at the drop of a hat. Lovey say they ready to go. So if the Big Ten come back, he say look for Illinois to make some noise.
Yeah, I know the Big Ten is supposed to be back in a couple of weeks. So, like you said, we'll see what happens there. You should learn, if you're the Big Ten conference, you should learn what the mistakes or potential mistakes that these other conferences have made. So your safety protocols for COVID can go smoothly as possible.
When you see the SEC say they're not playing with the COVID, you mess up if you want to. The SEC they dishing out harsh fines and suspensions if they break their rules.
That's the way the Big Ten should operate.
Yeah.
Oh, look, like I said, Greg Shaney doesn't mess around. So, like I said earlier, I'm not surprised that he's kind of putting an iron fist in and say, look, don't y'all try it. Don't you do it. Y'all better agree to these protocols. I'm gonna,
You better wear that mask, boy.
Okay, y'all better.
You better wear that mask.
He actually talks like that too, oddly enough. He actually does talk a little bit. He doesn't have that much of a deep Southern. Yeah, he doesn't have that deep Southern voice, but yeah.
Not worse than that LSU coach. I promise you, I don't be knowing what he be saying half the time. So
Orgeron.
Yeah.
American is football, boy.
Yeah. Like I don't like. I think you need a translator for it. Oh my goodness. Good grief. All right. Anything else? We're done kind of early. So any other thoughts, predictions for anything? You know what? Oh, you know what? So we forgot to mention. We got to congratulate the Tampa Bay Lightning for winning the Stanley Cup.
And then release Tyler Johnson. Didn't they release Tyler Johnson after they win the cup? Huh? I guess they said thanks for the memories or something.
Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning for winning their second Stanley Cup in franchise history. Of course, this was their third trip to the Stanley Cup final. Of course, 5 years ago, the Blackhawks did them in 6 games, and this time they eliminated the Dallas Stars a couple weeks ago to end the 2020 season. While we're on the subject of hockey, Lakina, thank you for bringing this up. Corey Crawford was notified on Thursday in a quote-unquote emotional meeting with Blackhawks GM Stan Bowman that Corey Crawford would not be back. Of course, Corey Crawford has had a heck of a career with the Chicago Blackhawks with 2 Stanley Cups, going back to 2013, which he should have been the playoff MVP, but I digress from that. And he has another ring from the 2015 season. You could argue he's, if not the best goalie in Hawks history, only because of his 2 Stanley Cups. Of course, you have Ed Belfour, who was great with the Blackhawks in the 90s. Of course, he had to leave Chicago to win his Stanley Cup with the Dallas Stars in 1999. Of course, you had Glenn Hall back in the day, and you had Tony Esposito back in the 70s. So Corey Crawford is up there as the top 5 goaltender in Hawks history for sure. So I said this on Twitter yesterday. Thank you, Crawford, for all the memories you helped bring the Blackhawks to prominence back in the 2010s with the 3 Stanley Cups. Of course, Crawford has 2. He wasn't part of the first one because he was in their minor league system back in 2010. But he's had a heck of a career. I know some Hawks fans didn't appreciate him because he wasn't flashy. I know he dropped a few bombs during the last 2 championship rallies. But outside of that, I hope Hawks fans who didn't appreciate him in net really look at his resume and look back at some of those games that he played in the net for the Hawks and really appreciate what he did for the Hawks. As we talked about on this program, McKinnon, we had Pat Boyle from NBC Sports Chicago on about a month ago prior to that series against the Vegas Golden Knights, which they ended up losing in 5 games. Corey Crawford was the reason why the Hawks only won that 1 game in that series. So you need a goaltender that can steal you a game or 2 in the playoffs. He did that, including this past season against the Vegas Golden Knights with their long victory in that series. I know Corey was battling COVID this last go around, but he answered the bell. So if the one thing I want Hawks fans, especially the ones that didn't appreciate him while he was here, the one thing I want Hawks fans to take away from Corey Crawford's career was through the concussions and the injuries, he answered the bell. Of course, his rookie year in 2011, of course, the Hawks lost in 7 games to the Vancouver Canucks. It wasn't because of Corey Crawford's fault. He answered the bell as a rookie. He struggled in 2012 along with the rest of the roster, but he came back in 2013 along with the now late Ray Embry. They had a great
Yeah, they were. Yeah, those two were great.
and helped the Hawks to the 2013 Stanley Cup. So I just want Hawks fans to know, especially the ones that didn't appreciate him, Corey Crawford answered the bell when he had to. So you cannot knock the man's resume for what he did for this franchise. So every time he was knocked down, he got back up, he shook it off, and he gave everything he had on that ice. So thank you, Corey Crawford. Salute, and congratulations on the great career in the Hawks uniform. If he continues to play, good luck to him wherever he goes. He's had a heck of a career.
That was going to be my next question for you, Sid. Do you think he's going to go somewhere else, or do you think he's going to, like, sit down? And do you think these young boys that they talking about, they told, you know, they said in the meeting, they told them they want to go in a younger direction at goalie. You think them young boys ready to get in there?
I don't think that those. I know you referencing Colin Daly, who was brought up a couple years ago, but he quickly got figured out, and he's not ready yet. I know he had a nice year in Rockford this year. Of course, the Hawks had to go in a younger direction. One, because of the salary cap situation, and number two, because of the aging veterans they still have left from the previous Hawks core teams from their dynasty teams. So that's why Stan Bowman said what he said. I just want people who don't follow hockey that much, even the people who follow hockey, everybody thinks, oh, picking up a starting goaltender is easy. No. Starting goaltender, especially at an elite level like that, like a Henrik Lundqvist, who got picked up by the Washington Capitals earlier today.
Good for him.
And with special goaltenders like that, and like Jonathan Quick in his prime when he was with the Los Angeles Kings, those goaltenders are hard to find. They're like starting pitchers in baseball, like a Chris Sale, who was hurt this year for the Red Sox. They're like Steven Strasburg, those diamond in the rough kind of guys. Those are hard to find. It's not so much the skill set. You have to have the skill set, but it's more between your ears. So are you mentally and emotionally ready? So finding good goaltending in hockey is not easy. It's just like starting pitchers in baseball. You just got to have the skills, obviously, but you got to have the mental ability, and that's what separates the good ones from the great ones.
Look, shouts out to Corey Crawford. Like you said, he helped win the Hawks 2 Stanley Cups. I think, like I said, I don't think he was very appreciated here. I think he was very underrated here. And look, it's not very hard. I was texting with our good friend Rachel Koplicek, who does this great hockey podcast. So as you know, the interviews in our page, so it's out there. Mm-hmm. But she said she doesn't think they're going to be able to get anybody because they got rid of Subban. Like you said, Moss is not ready. So
yeah, they brought him back today.
Oh, they did? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see. Maybe he and Moss can battle it out to get that starting goalie. I don't know, but she doesn't think the Hawks going to be able to get anyone. So we'll see. I mean, Lundqvist was a long shot. I heard somebody say, "Where did we get Lundqvist?" No, they got to pay him a lot of money. Plus, he ended up going to DC. So, I don't know. I think it depends on what direction the Hawks are trying to go here. If they decide that they want to, maybe perhaps go for it one more time to appease Taves and Kane. Maybe they'll go maybe they pick up a veteran guy who's on the market right now. Hawkby is out there. Maybe. I don't know, but
he just got picked up. He just got picked up by the Vancouver Canucks today, so.
Okay, well then he's out. So
I was thinking about Braden Hope, but like I said, the former Washington Capitals goalie. Now he got picked up by Vancouver earlier today. That team is headed in the right direction. You saw what they did against St. Louis in the playoffs. So for the Hawks, your options are limited. One, because of your salary cap, and number two, I read a report that they were in trade talks with Vegas in terms of perhaps maybe getting Marc-Andre Fleury. He wouldn't be a bad option, but
do they have
who would you send to Vegas? I don't know.
Yeah, let's say,
I
do
don't
they
know.
have the assets though? That's going to be the thing.
Exactly.
Like, do you want to, if you want to bring back somebody, like, look, I'll be all for that. But again, do you have the assets? You probably got to get a couple of guys from down in Rockford to perhaps maybe you may have to send one of your top guys from there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Again, shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm happy for Victor Hedman because he's a guy that came from there. From the ground up. Him and Steven Stamkos. I'm happy for those guys.
Yes.
So
Shout out to Sam Stamkos. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Hedman, who ended up winning MVP. So I'm happy for those guys. I'm happy for the people in Tampa. Look, they had an embarrassing elimination last year. So the fact that they were able to come in a bubble and they were knocked against the wall a couple of times, but they were able to kind of get back into it and win it. So good for them. And we'll see what the Hawks do.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
It's an interesting night. My sports night is going to be full, I guess. You got the finals, you got the baseball, you got the basketball, you got WWE draft tonight. They had a draft tonight, so that's going to be interesting. They trade. Every year they have a draft when they send people from different shows or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on Fox tonight because that's one of Fox's biggest shows. So Friday Night SmackDown is carrying Fox right now. So they loving Fox. And they show the replays on FS1.
I'm looking forward to the NBA Finals. Can LeBron James and the Lakers wrap it up in Game 5, or will the Heat force a Game 6? And also, I'm looking forward to the first NFL Sunday without the Chicago Bears. Hopefully, there'll be some great games. So hopefully, nothing else will happen in this week in terms of any new positive tests for COVID in terms of these players for the NFL.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see if Sophia Kenin could win the French Open. This will be her second Grand Slam this year, and I think this will solidify her as the next big star in tennis. If you're NBC, you're hoping that you get a Nadal-Djokovic final. I think tennis fans have earned it. They want it, and you're gonna get a pretty good rating. I'm looking forward to see if LeBron and AD and the Lakers can finish off tonight. The baseball, we'll see if the Yankees and Rays can. We'll see who gets out of there and ends up playing the Astros. Like you said, Sid, no Bears, but that's actually a good thing for me because I don't have to go bananas, and now I can concentrate on watching the Hurricanes.
Hey, the Saints playing this weekend, so that's always a good thing to watch.
Also, the college football, I want to see if Miami's for real. We'll see if they are. It's gonna be a tough test, but it'll be entertaining, I think. So I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but I think Miami will keep it close. I'll say that. All right, and on that note, you can follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter, at Keena_McGee on the Instagram.
You can follow me at Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
You can follow yours truly on Twitter and the Insta, as the kids would say, at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80, SIDKID80. And you can follow this podcast along with our other programming from War Media. Simply add War on Anchor, which kicks you over to Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. Wherever you download your podcast, make sure you search for War on Anchor. Also, we on iHeartRadio. Please download the iHeartRadio app. When you do, please type in that search engine box, War on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. And we're also on YouTube. Type in your search engine box on YouTube, War Media. That's WARR Media. And you can watch our podcast, Second City Sports, along with all the podcast programming from War Media. You can see our lovely faces like you're watching right now. Voila!
All right, so enjoy the sports, everybody. It's supposed to be nice this weekend, too, so enjoy the weather. Wash your hands, keep your distance, and be good to each other. For the guys, I'm Lakeena. This has been Second City Sports Zoom style, and we'll see you Monday.
Till next time. Holla!